Today we have a how to do makeup on a mature face tutorial for you guys. So this is going to be a super educational and informative video. However, you guys can recreate this look in 10 minutes. Don't let the length of the video fool you. This is very quick. It's just that I go in detail a lot about explaining why we use certain techniques for everything, for the face, for the eyes, all of that stuff. So without further ado, you guys, we can hop right into the tutorial. All of this is just my personal experience working as a makeup artist, what I have found older women prefer, what they ask for the most, and just things that in general look amazing on mature skin and everything. So just to be clear, just so you guys know, I know that I don't have like a older model, unfortunately, to show you guys, but I promise I'm getting fine lines and wrinkles. Using my primer first, I'm using my Fenty Beauty Soft Matte, and I am just applying that with my fingers on clean hands. So. And a lot of these things also, I feel like they apply to any age. And again, like I always say, anyone can do whatever they want with your makeup. Anyone can pull off any makeup, totally up to you. Wear your makeup however you want. It's totally up to you. I just find that these techniques work really, really, really well. So the first thing that we're going to do is after we are letting this sit for 2 minutes, we're going to work with our foundation. So what I recommend doing, and there's a reason for this that I'm going to be explaining, this also goes along with concealer. So when you are choosing a foundation, what I recommend for more mature skin, whatever finish you decide to go with, soft, matte, dewy, anything, totally up to you. However, what I do suggest is getting a lighter to medium coverage and then going in with lighter layers for a couple of reasons. The first reason being is that what I have found in my own practice is that you actually don't need so much coverage. What you actually need is just a base of color, a tone to really set your face and even out any imbalances in color in mature faces. So what I have found, and of course, like there are some people who struggle with adult acne and scarring and all that stuff, but the fuller coverage products are not necessary for most, not all, but for most mature faces. Again, this does not apply to everyone. This is just my personal experience of what I have found older women like. So I'm going in with my Nars Soft Matte Foundation. I think that this is the best foundation that I have ever had for young, mature, anything in between. This is an amazing finish because it looks like skin. It really does look like skin. And what we're doing today, and I never typically do this, but I'm going to use a brush. And the reason I'm using a brush is because I feel like that is the tool of choice for a lot of women over the age of, let's say, even like 35. A lot of people are using brushes. So what we're going to do is we're going to build up that color in very thin layers. So we're going to be building up that foundation. We're going to do a light, just like, you can think of it as like a dusting of foundation. And we're really going to blend that into the skin. We're going to tap. If you can use like a different shape foundation brush if you want, totally up to you. I never typically use a brush anyway, but I just am because I feel like it's the most popular. I would say if you are a woman watching this and you are thinking like that you like to use your fingers better or a sponge better, anything, then of course apply however you'd like, but just in thin layers. The reason why we are doing thin layering, and this is what I was talking about before that also will apply to concealer, is because as we age, and even when we are young, of course it doesn't show as much when we're young, we develop fine lines and we also develop wrinkles. And so these fine lines, especially around our eyes and our mouth, so, and a lot of women in their foreheads also, so basically everywhere, just from everyday activity, from talking, from eating, from smiling, from showing expression in your eyebrows and your forehead, anything, you're going to create these lines, these fine lines. And so what happens throughout the day, and this is inevitable, this will always happen, no matter what, you will get these lines unless you have Botox. If you are having those movements, or even when you smile or anything, you guys can see I have lines going when I smile and also around my eyes, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But your makeup will get caught in those lines. And so what happens in those creases like that? If you keep adding layers on, what's gonna happen eventually is that your makeup is going to separate and create almost like a crater of no makeup in between those lines, and that's going to make it more noticeable. That's creases. That's like a fancy way of explaining creases in your makeup. So that is why that happens, because of all of that movement. And so the thin layering of your foundation and your concealer and all of your makeup in general, I always say less is more. Always. I always say less is more. Not less drama, not less color, but just less product in general. You're always going to get the best results, I think, working and building than you are going in with a lot of product. It's just, I'm not a fan of going in with lots of product. So once we have that, let's say coverage or base that we like, we're going to go in with our concealer. And so I just found this concealer, which I am obsessed with. I think that this is the best concealer for fine lines and wrinkles, and just in general, I think it's a really, really good product and concealer. I'm gonna clean off the back of my hand. I always like to work very tidy, kind of, you know, like, I mean, when I'm just doing my makeup on myself, doesn't matter so much, but my hands are always clean because I'm always just like touching my face and around my face, and I always like to keep my hands as clean as possible. Not my desk so much, not my workstation, but you guys understand. Anyway, back to this phenomenal concealer. It is a drugstore, if I could see, not my desk. My desk is cluttery now, I can't find things. So this concealer is like my favorite thing right now, and this is the Maybelline Instant Anti-Age Eraser, and I'm just obsessed with this thing. I think that this is a game changer. The reason being is because it is so light. This feels like nothing. This is like, you can apply this and it's a very thin layer, but you do get a lot of pigment from it. And so if you're not using this, that's totally fine. You can use any concealer you want, but whether or not you use this or you don't use this, the placement of our concealer is going to be very important, because I find that what my older clients struggle the most with is lines and creases underneath their eyes. And this is so frustrating for so many people, and I understand. Even now at 24, when I smile and when I laugh, I'm starting to get these lines and creases. And so what we're going to do actually is we're going to take our concealer and we're going to focus it just in the inner corner. So what is going to happen, and the fabulous, amazing, most just perfect person in the entire world, Mr. Wayne Goss. I am obsessed with him. He is a makeup artist and he's just really classic. He taught me this trick, like, I don't know how long ago, but it has been such a game changer. And so the reason he said, and it makes so much sense, you know, I just never thought about it before. So when you're smiling like this, the inner portion won't move and it won't crease, but the outer portion will, like that. So you want to keep this in the areas that won't move and won't crease. And when he said that, my world's just changed. So this is not my personal trick. This is his. I stole it, and thank you for that, Mr. Wayne. I love you. I love you. And so, also, you guys, this is just how I do my concealer, because I have like a weird little I have a triangular like bone right here in my nose. But anyway, this is besides the point. You can skip this step, but I just like to add a little bit right there, because I do have this little bone thing going on. Anyway, you can skip it. For setting, if you have a self-setting concealer, you don't even have to set at all. However, it will definitely help with creases if you decide to set with powder. Please keep in mind that some setting powders can be rather drying. So if that is something that is going to be great for you, then that's fine. Some of them can be rather white. So this is my favorite translucent powder. This is my Kat Von D translucent. The reason being is because it does have sort of a beige tint to it, and it's not too drying. It's not drying at all. I mean, it is powder, so it still is going to obviously absorb some moisture. And especially because we're working with such thin layers of things, it is important not to dry out your under eyes too much. So what I'm doing is I'm literally just going in with the product that's in the cap. I'm not adding any product, and I'm not dipping into the actual powder itself. And I am just setting very lightly along my face. And so a huge tip on how to avoid creasing is that immediately, once you put on your concealer or wherever you'd like to set, go in immediately and set that with the powder. So what I like to do for my more mature clients is I will put on their concealer, I will have them look upward, put on their concealer, continue to look upward, and then set that immediately. And so what that does is that doesn't even give your makeup the chance to crease before it is set. If you do experience some creasing before you set it, like say you have to go grab your setting powder or anything like that, or you have to go grab a clean brush, whatever the case may be, it's a very simple fix. All you have to do is take a brush or a beauty blender or even your finger and just tap, tap, tap and smooth out that concealer before you set it with powder. Now you guys, we are going to pause on the contour, bronzer, and blush for now and move straight to the eyes. Starting off with the eyebrows, which I think make an enormous difference. So the first thing that we're gonna do is just take a spoolie and brush through these bad boys. And so with more mature faces, you have to keep in mind that the eyelids change. The whole entire shape of someone's face can change with time, of course, obviously. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I see a lot of makeup artists, what they do is they do, especially new and younger makeup artists, not that there's anything wrong with being a new young makeup artist, everyone starts somewhere, but a lot of times they try to do the same makeup on an older woman that they would on someone who is like 19, and it just does not work. It doesn't work. Like, you can't use the same amount of products, you can't use the same products, you can't use the same techniques. It just doesn't look the same, and a lot of times it's not what, and I'm sure there are a lot of older women that do want that, and that's totally fine. You can pull it off, do whatever you want with your makeup, that's fine. But in my experience, a lot of older women, they don't want to look like they're 20. They just want to look like a rejuvenated version of themselves. And so this brow look that I am about to tell you right now will really, really, really help on your journey for that goal. And so what we're doing is we're filling in, of course, the gaps that we're missing. But this is the difference between doing brows for someone who is a little bit more mature And that is, unless they have, of course, like really big gaps somewhere, I'm going at the bottom on my inner corner, but then I'm not even going to be touching the bottom half, not even a little bit of my eyebrows, only raising this arch a little bit and bringing that up as high as I possibly can with still keeping it natural. So I'm not touching at all this bottom half. I'm only trying to keep it still within the natural shape. I'm not building so much, but just what is natural, the natural shape of the brow, but just elevating that a little bit. You can see I didn't bring them up so much. I didn't bring them past the point where it would look unnatural, but this is where the real magic happens, is in this next step. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our concealer, but a different concealer. If I can find my brush, that'd be great. I just found my brush. So a different concealer that we used for underneath our eyes. Just because I use this one. You can use the same one if you want, but this is just like, I can't really go in with a brush with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my concealer and a flat tip brush. And this, for older women, is a little bit different how I like to do on more mature faces for a couple reasons. So I take this and I go underneath and really lift that arch. Like really open up that arch. And then I just bring that down. So in my more mature clients, I bring that down to around here. This is how far I would typically bring that down. In my clients that don't have more mature faces, I would typically bring this all the way down. Concealer on the lid is very controversial in the makeup community, you guys, between makeup artists, because concealer is meant to lock in moisture. It is like very thick and very full coverage, and it does definitely lock in that moisture. And what happens is our eyelids get super oily throughout the day, and concealer sometimes can almost aid that oil and make it way worse. So it just depends on your skin type and everything if concealer is the right choice for you. But you can also use a pigmented primer if you would like. But the reason why I always do this with mature women and I only go halfway is because I go in with the rest for primer. And so the reason why I wouldn't go further down ever with concealer on a more mature face is because a lot of times what happens as you get older, a lot of older women struggle with their eyelids going down further onto their lid, like their eyelids going down further, drooping down a little bit. I hope I'm making sense. I don't know the proper terminology, so please forgive me. But what happens there is that extra flap over, that extra space that's now covered with more of your lid. I hope you guys are following. If you have any questions, let me know. That creates even more moisture. So I don't want to risk anything by putting concealer further onto the lid. I like to stay on just below the brow and then go in with primer. And you guys can just dab this in with your fingers. You can use a brush, whatever you'd like. It's totally up to you. But that's why I like to go only half with concealer. But I still like to add it because it really, really does an amazing job with lifting the brow. So you guys, I know I use this palette a lot, but I am just going to be using it again because I feel like this is the most universal color story and such a compact, easy, it's just a great palette to have and use. Anyway, I'm going to be taking a big fluffy blending brush just like this one, and I'm going to be mixing these two colors because I want to keep it nice and light. So what I find is that a lot of like lighter purples or lighter nudes like this are really, really great color stories for more mature shapes. And so what we're going to do is we are going to go a little bit further than I normally would. So we're going like right above that initial crease. So my crease is like here, and I'm just going right above that, right above, but I'm still keeping that very nice brightness. I'm not touching that at all. Not at all. I'm just like deepening the color underneath it. So we still have that nice lift on our brows. And I know, don't let the length of this video fool you guys, because you can really whiz through this makeup look in like 5 or 10 minutes. It's just because I'm trying to speak and explain to you guys why I'm doing certain things a certain way, that it's taking a little bit longer. But this, don't be afraid. This is a very, very quick makeup look. And so now what I'm going to be doing, you guys, is I'm going to be taking my flat tip brush and I'm going in, I'm mixing these two colors. I love mixing colors, if you guys couldn't tell that about me. That's like, I love to do that. But you don't have to. You can use whatever colors you want. And so I'm just taking that and I'm going rather far with this bad boy, with this brighter color. So I'm going a little bit further up than I typically would to give it that extra brightness. And the reason for this is the same exact reason that we don't put concealer on the whole lid. And it's because a lot of women, they struggle with that extra lid going down and increasing as they get older and getting maybe a little bit just not sagging, but it overlaps a little bit more. And so we want to bring up that brightness to compensate for that overlap. So let's see. We're going to be doing a lot of things to make our eyes look we're going to just brighten them up. You guys know what I mean. So we're going to brighten up this area over here. And now using a thin, let's see, I'm just blending this a little bit because that flicked too much, no problem. Okay. And now you guys, using a pencil brush, so we're gonna go in very, very, very lightly. If I could even find my gosh darn pencil brush. So I'm going in. You can also use like a very thin blending brush if you wanted to, like a fine tip brush. And we're gonna be going in with these two colors here. Again, mixing because I love to mix my colors. And just very, very gently and lightly deepening up this crease. And I'm only going in halfway. I'm not going in further than like around where my pupil starts. And I'm not even like bothering really blending that so much because it's so quick and easy what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be taking our blending brush from earlier and we're just going to be going over this and blending that out. So you don't even have to do so much work with the pencil brush, which is great. This is so, so, so quick. Like that. And I am keeping a little bit of that lighter shade, the lightest shade on my lid down there. And that's also going to help with brightness. And this next step, you guys, is also very important. So I really do love eyeliner so much. I think it changes everything about a look. And this eyeliner tip it's just golden for mature faces. I think that this is the best eyeliner tip for sure. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold my lid like this and I'm gonna go almost on my lash line, staying extremely close to that lash line. What I'm also gonna be doing is using a dark brown instead of a black. I know that a lot of women do like black. It's just I prefer dark brown. I think that dark browns look just a little bit more, definitely not natural, but I just feel like they blend easier and it's just easier to work with overall. But if you want to use a black, absolutely you can use a black. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing right now. you guys see that? I hope that you saw that. So I just held it like this, and then I went all the way across. And so the reason that we do this is because if our lid is overlapping, we already have a minimized amount of space to shine through when we are looking forward. So when we're looking forward, we still want that pop of brightness and that pop of light color. But if you want a more defined eye and you did want to put on eyeliner, you can absolutely do that. It's very easy with this technique, but we still want that brightness to shine through because that's really what's going to open up and make our eyes look super alive and super youthful. Something else I see that is so popular with so many women is tightlining. So what I'm going to be doing is, again, taking this dark brown, and I'm just going to be tightlining my upper and lower lash, really getting in there. And the reason I think, this is just my personal opinion, but the reason that I think that tightlining is so popular is because it does give that, leave that space, gives that space back for the bright color on your lid while still giving you that extra little bit of volume on your lash line. And I definitely see the appeal to it. I think that like tightlining is a really good technique. You do have to do it properly, but I'm a fan of tightlining. I feel like this might be the most popular thing that women like, that more mature faces. It looks amazing. So now what we're going to do is we will be taking, just to soften up that bottom part a tiny little bit, let's mix these three colors actually. I'm a big fan of just mixing colors. So I'm going to be taking this and I'm just going to go, just so it doesn't look as harsh. You know, you can use a smudging brush, you can use a blending brush, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Just so that it doesn't look so harsh. You don't have to go crazy with it, but just so it's not so sharp. You can also use a larger blending brush. Try to keep it as close to your lash line as possible. But if you feel comfortable working with a larger blending brush, then of course you can do that. For my mascara, you guys, I'm just going to do that off camera. I'm going to curl my lashes, of course, always, and then just throw on my Pump and Volume by Dior. Okay guys, so now that I have on my mascara, we are going to revisit the face. I did just want to say though, if you wanted to make this a little bit more dramatic, or you wanted to go out to a special occasion and you wanted to throw on some fake lashes, the best advice that I could give to you, even though they are a little bit harder to work with, for some people, I feel like they're easier to work with because you don't have to worry about both sides. Get the individual lashes, like the ones, the smaller ones, and just do the outer corner. It will make a huge difference and still keep your eyes nice and open and beautiful. And so for my contour and bronzer and everything, guys, what I have found personally is going in with a warmer bronzer and a warmer toned everything is going to make a huge difference. So the reason why I did my face, I did my eyes before I finished up my face, is because I wanted to see how the eyes would look on just my face, my shape, everything, and then decide from there what I wanted to do and how much I wanted to add. So if I was going to do a little bit more dramatic look, maybe my bronzer and my contour would look a little bit different. So I like to keep everything nice and balanced, and I really like to focus on the eyes and then decide from there. But if you want to start off with your contour and your bronzer, you absolutely can. So for this look, I've decided I wanted to go a little bit less sculpted and just a little bit more bright, if that makes sense. So what I'm gonna do is I'm always blending into the hairline, but I am going in, instead of that like Angelina Jolie contour that goes down here, I'm keeping this nice and lifted, nice and bright. And you can already tell like the life is just coming back into my skin from this for sure. I really like working with warmer products on more mature faces as far as like bronzers and contour goes. I just feel like it really, really, really helps lift the face. It makes it so bright and so warm. I think that it's beautiful. But of course, if you don't like warmer tones on you, you can use cooler tones, whatever you prefer. Now that I have on my bronzer, I'm going to be going in with my contour. And again, I'm not doing so far down. I'm keeping this closer to like, not rounded, but more round than I would typically go. I typically personally don't do my contour like this on my nose, but this is actually how I would do it on a more mature face, just because I wouldn't want to give like a super chiseled look to the nose. So I would just take a little bit of extra product and I would just go like over in the general shape to give some definition, not a whole lot. Now you guys, for blush, I'm using like a more peachy pink blush, and I'm just going on the highest point of the balls of my cheek. But I'm doing this, I would usually go a little bit more down, and now I'm going a little bit more side to side. I just think that it is prettier like that for this particular look. And I'm not gonna add any highlighter or anything like that. If you really love highlighter and you wanted to use it, then of course, do whatever you want. It's your face, but I'm just not going to put any on. I don't think that it's necessary. And for lips, you guys, you can never go wrong with a classic red if you want a little like pop of color. But something that I don't recommend doing, at least not doing a crazy amount on more mature faces, is overlining, because as you get older, the shape of your lips start to change. Of course, it happens to everyone. That's just life. And so it can become a little bit more noticeable when you're overlining on more mature lips. So I would just recommend not doing that. And plus, from my personal experience, a lot of my more mature clients, they don't like having their lips overlined. So just stay within the natural shape of their lip or your own lip is my advice. Of course, you don't have to follow it. To each his own. If you like that, then of course, do you. But I am going to stick with like a little bit more nude pinky color today. It's going to be like a little bit pinky. Actually, it's going to be like pinky peachy. So this is my MAC Bites O Georgia. I like that. It's peachy. Get it, you guys? That's cute. So anyway, I'm just going to be using this. I'm not going to use any like liner or anything. I'm just going to go in with this peachy pink. My lips are so dry. Maybe I do need something. Maybe I need something else. My lips are really dry, but you know what? No, I think that it's good. I think it's good. So I'm going to finish this off with a brush, you guys, because I'm not using any liner. Okay, guys, so obviously this is a pretty bold choice for lips. I mean, at least it is for me. But I do like brighter colors on more mature faces. I I think that it's really beautiful. I think that it's fun. I think that it's like really classic. So I like it. I do like it for me. I promise I'm going to get I'm going to get someone to come in and model for me so that I can show you guys these techniques on a more mature face. Just remember, no matter what age you are, no matter how you do your makeup, you are still so beautiful. Always, of course, I would hope that you guys know that. And always, any age can pull off any makeup look. Again, this is just my personal experience, what I have found my older clients like the most, and hopefully teach you guys at home if you are struggling with your makeup, or you're becoming a makeup artist and you're struggling with getting more mature makeup down, because it's really hard when you're used to practicing on yourself or some of your friends and you don't get that diversity until you start getting more clients. So it is hard to really go outside of your practice spectrum, if that makes sense. But I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys. And again, so beautiful as always, you guys, with or without makeup, doesn't matter, no matter what age. And if you guys did like this video, you found it educational and helpful, and you feel like supporting me and my channel, you could hit that big old subscribe button. Also give this video a big thumbs up for me. That way we won't miss out on each other, and it really does go so far to help supporting me. So I really appreciate you guys, and that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.